Hello, this is Jason Luoma providing this presentation called The Winter Blues, a guide to seasonal affective disorder, particularly focusing on Portland, Oregon. And I just want to thank Brian Thompson for helping me develop this slideshow that was originally given at the Multnomah County Library in Portland. Like I said, my name's Jason Luoma. I'm that guy in the upper right of this screen, and you can see some of the rest of our staff at Portland Psychotherapy there. We're a clinic in Portland, Oregon that specializes in providing psychotherapy that's guided by what the research literature says works in terms of helping people out. And we work with a whole range of problems, including things like depression and seasonal affective disorder. Thus, part of why we're giving this talk, because we've been studying this problem and we even give classes out. We even host classes out of our center. So today, though, onto the talk, what I want to do is tell you a little bit about seasonal affective disorder, which particularly affects people in the more northerly part of the world, in the northerly part of the United States, like Portland. And I want to give you some ideas about what you can do about it. As the days grow shorter in the winter and the skies start to turn gray, people often find that their mood darkens as well. In the United States, approximately 10% of the population has some sort of winter blues, and in northern latitudes like Portland, this rate can go up to 20 or 30%. Now, although our talk is titled The Winter Blues, we also want to talk about something a bit more serious. And for some people, the winter blues can turn into what's called seasonal affective disorder. In Portland, it looks like about 9% of people here have symptoms due to the shortening days that are severe enough to qualify for what we'd call seasonal affective disorder. Some of the most common symptoms of SAD are outlined on this slide. Now, not everyone has every one of these symptoms, but if you find yourself having a number of these symptoms in the winter time, late fall, winter, early spring is usually when most people experience this, then there's a good chance that you have seasonal affective disorder, and you probably want to get evaluated by a professional of some sort and consider what sort of treatments might fit you. Some of the most common symptoms of SAD include oversleeping, feeling like you need to sleep a lot, and maybe finding yourself sleeping a lot at night and having a hard time waking up in the morning, or wanting to go to bed early. You might feel drowsy during the day. A lot of people experience irritability and fatigue. They just generally feel like they have a lower energy level in the winter. They'll often experience a decreased sex drive, just less interest, and also commonly they may find themselves having a harder time concentrating or thinking clearly. For many people, this also manifests in an increased appetite, especially for sweets. For some people, it may actually do the opposite, result in a decreased appetite. There is variability. Not everyone reacts the same, but these are the most common kinds of problems that people see. And the winter blues might only include some of these, may just include feeling low and down, but maybe not the rest, for example. Now, what causes SAD? Well, in order to understand this, we have to understand the concept of circadian rhythms. And what circadian rhythms refer to is the fact that each of us has a 24-hour clock which regulates our level of alertness throughout the day. And this is illustrated in this graph in front of us. This red line here refers to your normal pattern of circadian rhythms, of uh, how alert you feel. And the most normal pattern is that the person has the most alertness in the later morning, and then oftentimes people experience a dip after lunch. You know, people talk about the kind of carb coma that often happens after lunch for many people, or perhaps it's later in the early afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock, and then most people experience some more alertness again in the early evening, and then they tend to get more and more tired and less alert as nighttime comes, and then eventually they go to sleep, and during sleep you have the lowest levels of arousal. This is the ideal pattern that we want to see. The other part of this, of the circadian rhythms, this refers to what we call sleep pressure. So as the person goes through their day, they feel more, they build up this pressure of wanting to sleep, and then when they do go to sleep, the sleep pressure drops. That's this sleep pressure that builds up. Now, ideally, the way this works is that our circadian rhythms are synced up with how we live our life. So ideally, these patterns of highest alertness would occur during the times of the day when we want to be awake. For most of us, that's the daytime. That's, sometime between 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. or something like that. And for most of us, that's actually the pattern that we find that we have. And this also accounts for why, for example, things like shift work is really difficult on people, because it results in their circadian rhythms not syncing up with when it is that they want to be most awake. Now, here's where we get to how light is a part of this. Light serves as a cue for our body to sync up these circadian rhythms. And the most important cue is light, bright light, early in the morning. So this is represented by this blue sun here, that we want this bright light early in the morning, and it tells our body it's time to wake up. It's time to become more alert. Problem is, in the winter, there may not be bright light at all throughout the day, and there's often particularly no bright light in the morning. And so for some people, for many people, that starts to cause a difficulty with their circadian rhythms. Their circadian rhythms can get out of sync. It can mess with their sleep. Their circadian rhythms can get kind of uneven or irregular. And all of this tends to create irritability, problems with mood, problems with our metabolism. All of the normal symptoms that we see in SAD seem to be linked to disruptions in this 24-hour wake-sleep rhythm that we call circadian rhythms. So again, just to review, we all have a 24-hour clock, and light, especially bright light, serves as a very important cue to help regulate that 24-hour clock. And when bright light isn't there, for many people, that 24-hour clock gets out of sync, and therefore, and then those symptoms of SAD can arise, or for a lot of people, this kind of pattern of tiredness, perhaps sleepiness, or irritability, or moodiness that we might call the winter blues. Now, while most people experience SAD in the winter, there is a very uncommon pattern where some people actually can experience some of these symptoms seasonally in the summer. Now, the researchers don't really know what that is due to, but we do know that that can happen. So if you think you're someone who gets depressed in the summer, then that also can be the case, and you might want to get some sort of consultation about what's happening.